In the heart of the NFL offseason, where rosters are reshaped and futures rewritten, the Las Vegas Raiders made a move that could define their defense in 2025. Linebacker Christian Ellis, once a restricted free agent with the New England Patriots, now finds himself on the verge of donning the silver and black. According to reports, the Raiders signed Ellis to an offer sheet, putting the Patriots on the clock. With the right of first refusal, New England has until Monday to match the deal. But will they? The Patriots have already invested heavily in their linebacker core this offseason, adding multiple players at the position. And with their focus seemingly elsewhere, Ellis may be on his way to Las Vegas. Ellis's journey to this moment has been anything but conventional. Undrafted out of Idaho, he bounced around the league, brief stints with the Vikings, Eagles, and 49ers, before finding a home in New England. Under the guidance of former linebacker-turned-coach Jared Mayo, Ellis blossomed. Last season, given his first real opportunity to start, he delivered. Over 80 tackles, a forced fumble, an interception, multiple pass breakups, and relentless pressure on quarterbacks. Ellis proved he belonged. At 26, he's just hitting his prime. His instincts, his ability to read plays before they unfold, and his knack for being in the right place at the right time make him an intriguing addition to the Raiders' defense. More than just stats, Ellis brings an edge, a hunger forged through years of fighting for a roster spot. If the Patriots decide not to match, the Raiders may have just found their starting linebacker for 2025. And in the brutal chess match that is the NFL, every move counts. For the Raiders, this move isn't just about filling a roster spot, it's about unlocking potential. Christian Ellis is a linebacker with upside, a player still carving out his place in the league. And for Las Vegas, this is the kind of low-risk, high-reward signing that can pay off in a big way. Linebacker is a position of transformation. Some players take time to find the right fit, the right coach, the right system. We've seen it before. Robert Spillane struggled to make his mark in Pittsburgh, but flourished when given the right role. A player like Shaquille Leonard, dominant early in his career with the Colts, saw his trajectory shift when coaching changes altered the scheme around him. Even C.J. Mosley, once just another name on the Jets' defense, found a new gear when paired with Robert Saleh. The best linebackers don't just rely on talent, they thrive in systems that bring out their strengths. The great Mike Singletary understood this. As a player, he was a field general. As a coach, he molded some of the game's best. Ray Lewis, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman. The right guidance, the right philosophy, and suddenly a good linebacker becomes a great one. That's the hope for Ellis. Under Patrick Graham, the Raiders saw Spillane elevate his game. Now, they're betting that Ellis can do the same. But the Raiders weren't done making moves. They also re-signed defensive tackle Zach Carter, a player whose journey has been just as unpredictable. A third-round pick out of Florida in 2022, Carter had promise, but things never quite clicked in Cincinnati. The Bengals let him go mid-season, and the Raiders seized the opportunity. In limited snaps, Carter made an impact as a run defender, and that was enough for Las Vegas to bring him back. At 6 feet 4 inches, 320 pounds, Carter has the kind of size that can anchor a defensive front. And while his pass rushing skills are still developing, his ability to stop the run gives the Raiders something to build on. The decision to re-sign him speaks volumes, not just about Carter's potential, but about the Raiders' belief in what he can become. In the NFL, every player has a story. Some are written in bold, clear strokes from the beginning. Others take time, filled with twists and second chances. Christian Ellis and Zach Carter may not have been headliners in free agency, but their chapters with the Raiders are just beginning. And in the game of inches, where talent meets opportunity, sometimes the best moves are the ones no one sees coming. For defensive tackles, stopping the run is one thing. Rushing the passer is another. The elite interior pass rushers, the ones who can collapse a pocket and disrupt a quarterback's rhythm, get the big contracts. That's why Zach Carter is still in the developmental phase. A player with potential, but one who has yet to prove he can be that kind of force. Carter flashed enough ability for the Raiders to bring him back, a low-risk, high-upside move that keeps a familiar face in the system. Unlike Christian Ellis, who seems poised for a breakout, Carter's role is more defined. He's a rotational piece, someone who can log 400 snaps, give the team solid depth, and step in when needed. He's not a game changer, but he's a piece of the puzzle. Meanwhile, a familiar name is heading out the door. Andre James, the Raiders' longtime center, has signed with the Los Angeles Chargers. It's a move that stirs conversation, not just about what the Raiders are losing, but about what the Chargers are gaining. James spent 6 years in silver and black, arriving as an undrafted tackle out of UCLA before being molded into a center under Tom Cable. For 2 years, he studied under one of the best, Rodney Hudson, before taking over the job in 2021. He wasn't a superstar, but he was steady, a lineman who showed up every day, put in the work, and gave everything he had to the Raiders. Criticism has followed him, especially after being replaced by Jackson Powers Johnson, but it's hard to knock a player who held down a starting job for multiple seasons. The Chargers now have two centers of similar caliber, and whether James can regain his form and secure the job remains to be seen. One thing is certain, he's heading to a team that has struggled to turn talent into wins. And speaking of talent, the NFL draft looms large on the horizon. Few events in football carry more intrigue, more speculation, and more debate. At the center of it all, as always, are the draft analysts, men like Mel Kiper Jr. and Daniel Jeremiah, voices that shape expectations and fuel discussions. Kiper, a fixture in the draft world for over 30 years, has seen his share of hits and misses. Jeremiah, working under the NFL banner, has built a strong reputation of his own. And now, in their latest mock drafts, both have linked the Raiders to Boise State's Ashton Jeanty. It's a name that sparks curiosity, a pick that raises questions. The draft is a puzzle, a game of anticipation and uncertainty. And as the Raiders prepare to make their move, one thing remains true. Every selection has the power to change the course of a franchise. The draft is a stage where possibilities unfold, and for the Raiders, the debate over their next move is heating up. Mel Kiper Jr. believes they'll select Ashton Jeanty, a dynamic playmaker who could redefine their offense. Kiper points to the Raiders' recent trade for Geno Smith, suggesting that Las Vegas wasn't willing to wait for a quarterback in the draft. Instead, with their 6th overall pick, Kiper sees them grabbing the best player available, Jeanty, who he ranks as the 4th best prospect in the entire class. Ashton Jeanty is everything you want in an offensive weapon, Kiper states. Elusive, fast, physical, he sees the field with incredible vision. Last season, he racked up 2,600 rushing yards and 29 touchdowns, while also catching 66 passes. The Raiders ranked dead last in rushing last year, but Jeanty changes that overnight. He gives them a core: Smith, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, an offense with balance and firepower. Kiper isn't alone in this thinking. Daniel Jeremiah echoes the sentiment, calling Jeanty a top 3 talent in the draft. Both analysts agree. Adding Jeanty takes pressure off Geno Smith, giving the Raiders a workhorse back who can carry the offense. But is Las Vegas really prepared to spend the 6th pick on a running back? The conversation goes deeper than that. Jeanty isn't just a running back. He's a game changer. Some see him as the best offensive weapon in the draft, right alongside Travis Hunter. If Hunter goes early, Jeanty might be the next best option for a team looking for a spark. Still, the hesitation is there. History warns against taking a running back this high. Saquon Barkley and Bijan Robinson were rare talents. Jeanty is expected to be in that class. Watch the tape, and it's all there. The vision, the agility, the ability to stop on a dime and accelerate to full speed in an instant. His numbers aren't inflated. He leads all backs with 100-plus carries in yards per rush, broken tackles, and forced missed tackles. Even against top competition like Oregon, he proved he belongs. But there's a reality that can't be ignored. No matter how talented a running back is, he relies on what's around him. The offensive line, the run game design, the play caller. A great system can elevate a back to stardom, but the wrong fit can dull even the sharpest weapon. Devon Achane thrives under Mike McDaniel in Miami. Put him in a different scheme, and the results might change. That's the risk. The Raiders must decide if Jeanty is a luxury they can afford or the missing piece they can't pass up. The draft is full of choices. Some shape franchises, others spark debates that last for years. One thing is certain, the decision Las Vegas makes will tell the league exactly what kind of team they intend to be. Football is a game of talent, but it's also a game of fit. Some players thrive in the right scheme, while others struggle when the pieces around them don't align. Look no further than Saquon Barkley. In New York, he fought for every yard, grinding behind an inconsistent offensive line. In Philadelphia, it was a different story. Suddenly, the same back was averaging nearly 6 yards a carry, running behind one of the league's best units. The lesson? Sometimes, the difference between good and great isn't the player, it's the five men in front of him. That's the dilemma for the Raiders. Their offensive line has promise, but also question marks. A top tier left tackle, a solid center. But the right side? Uncertain at best. And that raises a question: is Ashton Jeanty a luxury this team can afford? Make no mistake, Jeanty is a special talent. If the line clicks, if the system is right, he could be a star. But does he bring enough value to justify a top 6 pick? Would the offense gain just as much from a Caleb Johnson, an Omarion Hampton, or an RJ Harvey in the later rounds? The other reality? Longevity. A dominant right tackle, taken with the 6th overall pick, could anchor the line for 12 to 15 years. A star receiver could stretch defenses for a decade. But running backs? Their window is shorter, 5 to 7 years, maybe less with heavy usage. None of this is to say Jeanty isn't worth it. If the Raiders are all in on him, if they believe he's the missing piece, then the pick makes sense. But every team must ask itself, what matters most? What moves the needle toward victory? For Las Vegas, the draft board will hold the answers. A franchise-defining decision is coming. And when the pick is in, the Raiders will reveal their vision, not just for this season, but for the years to come.